If you ever wonder whether that fresh cut or that new hairstyle could be written off for your taxes, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the world of personal grooming expenses to be able to uncover the truth about what you can and cannot deduct as it relates to being able to write off grooming expenses. All right, so first let's talk about why this question even comes up. So many of us, we spend money on looking professional for our work, right? We spend time going to get haircuts. We spend time getting suits and makeups and shirts and all these different things. And when tax season rolls around, you may think, hey, I needed this for my job, so shouldn't I be able to deduct this? And if you've ever asked that question, it's a very logical question. But the IRS has a different perspective on this, and you want to make sure you listen up for it. So when it comes to being able to write off things for your business, the IRS says that the expenses must be ordinary and necessary for your business. So according to the IRS, deductions are allowed if they're considered ordinary and necessary for your trade or business. So does that include haircuts? And the answer is it does depend. But here's the hard truth. The IRS generally does not allow deductions for personal grooming expenses like haircuts, even if you use them for work purposes. So the question becomes why, and it's because the IRS considers these to be personal expenses and not business expenses. And when it comes to a haircut, it could benefit you personally whether you're meeting a client or not. And typically, if it could benefit you personally, then the IRS is going to try to disallow it. And the good news is there are some exceptions though, so you want to make sure you listen up when it comes to that. All right, so if you're in a profession where your appearance is literally part of your job, so if we're talking about actors, we're talking about performers, we're talking about models, and your haircut is specifically required for a role that you're in, you might be able to have a stronger argument that it is a business expense. But even in that scenario, the IRS is going to tend to try to scrutinize the claims very, very carefully. So you may be wondering, okay, what can I deduct? So let's look at some examples that the IRS may accept. So if we're talking about wigs or hair pieces, if you're in a role that requires them for performance, or maybe some kind of public appearance, then you may be able to qualify to be able to write off a wig or a hairpiece. So specific clothing that's not suitable for everyday wear, so like a branded uniform or a theatrical costume could be potentially written off. Next, you have makeup and styling for production. So if you're a performer and the expenses are directly tied to a production, then that could be written off as well. So hopefully you're starting to see a pattern, right? So these expenses are explicitly for business use and do not have a personal benefit. And that's really the key when it comes to being able to write off these types of expenses. So now you may think, well, what if I just add my haircut as a business expense and hope the IRS does not notice? And I definitely would not recommend that. All right, so if you get audited, the IRS finds out, you could actually face fines and penalties and interest when it comes to this. Plus, it could actually raise red flags about other deductions on your return and literally open up a can of worms, which is not problems that you want to have with the IRS. So instead, you want to make sure that you're focusing on legitimate deductions that can save you money without risking getting the penalties and fines that come with not being able to have legitimate deductions for your business. And if you're looking for the top tax deductions that you're able to take for your business, go ahead and watch this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.